In this video, I'm going to show you how to use a button in Tinkercad even if you're working without a breadboard. If you've ever looked at a 4-pin push button and wondered how all 4 pins actually work, this guide will make it easy to understand. We'll break down what the pins do, how to wire the button correctly, and how to test it in simulation so you can see the LED turn on only when the button is pressed. If this tutorial helps you out, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more easy Tinkercad and electronics tutorials. Let's get started. First, it helps to understand the secret behind the 4 pins. A push button may look like it has 4 separate legs, but internally it works like 2 pairs of connected metal rails. On one side, 2 pins are already connected together all the time. On the other side, the other 2 pins are also connected together all the time. The important part is that the 2 sides do not connect to each other unless you press the button. So think of it like a bridge. When the button is not pressed, the bridge is open. When you press it, the bridge closes and electricity can flow across. This is why many beginners get confused when they place a button in Tinkercad. They expect each pin to act separately, but that is not how a 4-pin push button works. The key is to remember that the pins are arranged in pairs. One side is always touching internally, and the other side is always touching internally. The button only connects one side to the other when it is pressed down. Now, let's build a simple circuit in Tinkercad using the diagonal pin method. This is one of the most reliable ways to wire a button, especially when you want to avoid mistakes. The diagonal connection makes sure you are crossing the internal gap inside the button, which is exactly what you want for a proper push-button circuit. Start by opening Tinkercad and creating a new circuit. Then, drag a 9-volt battery onto the canvas. Next, place your 4-pin push button. Position it clearly so you can easily see the pins. After that, add an LED and a 220 ohm resistor. These parts will help us confirm that the button is working correctly. Now, connect the positive terminal of the 9-volt battery with a red wire to the top left pin of the button. This is your power input. Then, take a wire from the bottom right pin of the button and connect it to one side of the 220 ohm resistor. This is the power output from the button when it is pressed. Next, connect the other side of the resistor to the anode of the LED, which is the longer bent leg. Finally, connect the cathode of the LED, which is the shorter straight leg, back to the negative terminal of the battery using a black wire. At this point, your circuit should be complete. The battery is feeding power into one side of the button controls whether power can pass through, and the LED lights up only when the circuit is closed. The resistor is important because it protects the LED from too much current. Without it, the LED would burn out in a real circuit. Now click Start Simulation in Tinkercad. At first, the LED should stay off. That is completely normal. The reason it stays off is because the internal bridge of the push button is still open. Even though the circuit is connected physically, the button itself is blocking the flow of electricity until it is pressed. Now click and hold the button with your mouse. As soon as you press it, the internal bridge drops, the circuit closes, and the LED lights up. This is the exact behavior you want when using a push button in Tinkercad. It proves that your wiring is correct and that the button is functioning as a switch. If the LED does not light up, double-check your wiring. Make sure you use the diagonal pins and not 2 pins from the same side. Also check the LED orientation, because LEDs only work one way. The anode must go toward the resistor and the positive side, while the cathode must go back to the negative terminal. If the LED is reversed, it will not turn on. You can also use the same idea in many other Tinkercad projects. Push buttons are commonly used for turning on lights, triggering alarms, starting motors, or sending input signals to an Arduino. Once you understand how the internal pin pairs work, using a button becomes much easier in every type of circuit. So the main lesson here is simple. A 4-pin push button in Tinkercad is really 2 connected pairs with a gap in between. Use the diagonal pins to cross that gap, connect your battery, resistor, and LED properly, then start the simulation and press the button to see the result. Once you understand this, you'll be much more confident building circuits in Tinkercad. If this video helped you learn how to use a button in Tinkercad, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone else who is learning electronics. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.